This story is called The Bet. It needs a slight introduction, which is for those people who are sadly younger than me. In 1970, when this story was set, Dana was the entry for Ireland in the Eurovision Song Contest, and she later went on to become a politician. So we'll wait and see if any of our entries do that. But so that's just the background to the story. I was 11 when Dana entered the Eurovision Song Contest. I was rooting for Mary Hopkin because she was English, but my mother, being from Derry, and my sister Bernie, being a creep, were supporting the ninny from the north with the green hair clip and the dimples. We watched all those competitions, Eurovision, Miss World, Opportunity Knocks. It was a serious business in our house. Sides were taken. To listen to us, you'd think we knew Miss Argentina personally, or had close connections with Greece and their satin-suited men with big moustaches. My mum always supported the land of her birth. My loyalty was to England, because the rest of us were English, and Bernie usually backed France because St. Bernadette was French. But if Dana's from Northern Ireland like you, I said to my mum, doesn't that mean she's British? Mum gave me a withering look. My father sat on the fence. He was the Switzerland of our house, but without the cuckoo clocks. I had a lot riding on this particular Eurovision. I'd bet my sister Bernie a month's pocket money that Mary Hopkin would win. It was cash in the bank as far as I was concerned, because our entries had great form. We'd had Lulu and Sandy Shaw. After a whole day of considering, Bernie accepted my bet, agreeing to pay me out of her savings account, an account better guarded than a chest of gold doubloons. She never spent anything on herself, preferring to take her pocket money down to the post office every Saturday and pay it in, poring over the columns in her book and scribbling numbers in the back, her pencil knocking against her teeth, her eyes up to the ceiling as she worked out some complicated interest calculation. Bernie was saving for her travels. She planned to move to Paris when she was 18, live near the Eiffel Tower and marry Sacha Distel. She tried to make me speak with her in French, but I always refused, even though I longed to show off what I knew. When she agreed to the bet, I had a moment of uncertainty. If she was prepared to wager a month's pocket money, and not even on the French entry, could she know something that I didn't? Had she read stuff in the paper about Ireland's chances, or was it simply that the idea of taking money off me motivated her to change her normal pattern? Mad. I'd been a fool to take on Banque de Bernadette, but it was too late now. I'd signed the betting slip. Just to reassure myself, I wrote to my cousin Sean to get his view on it. We'd been writing regularly since the previous summer, when we'd spent the holiday avoiding our families in a seaside town in Donegal. A year older than me, he lived in Derry like all the rest of my mother's family. He had a leather jacket and his own hi-fi, and he knew what was what. Dear Sean, thanks for your last letter. Hope it stopped raining by now, etc., etc. I paused and chewed my pen. I didn't have that much to write, as my life consisted of school, hanging out in Woolworths, and trying to find ways to annoy Bernie. So I decided to get straight to it. It's the Eurovision next week, and I think Mary Hopkin is going to win. Bernie's going for Ireland. Has the Irish singer got a chance? I'm getting nervous. I bet Bernie a month's pocket money that the UK is going to get it. What do you think? The rest of the letter was filled with scenes from my uneventful life, my plans for the holidays, and jokes from my joke book. I think Dana's a dope, was his reassuring reply. She's our entry. All the old grannies and the teachers like her. That should tell you everything you need to know. Is she really the best Ireland has to offer? I'm sure Mary'll get it. Thank God for that, I thought, as I folded up the letter and put it back in the envelope. 4 weeks' money was my entire savings. If Dana did win, I'd be stony broke. I sat eating my tea as the news rumbled on. Belfast was a city of burning cars and graffiti. The British Army stalked the streets, dodging sticks and stones and running in their big boots. I glanced at the screen, not really equating that Northern Ireland with the one of Sean and my aunties and my granddad. Sean and his mates in Derry seemed to roam the place quite freely, picking up bullet cases and bits of debris, but apart from that he never even mentioned it in his letters. He promised to send me a rubber bullet next time he wrote. I imagined it to be small and squidgy, a bouncy version of the metal ones. They were probably used like pea shooters or tranquilizer darts, making the baddies jump and swear and giving them red welts on their arms and legs. Maybe I'd make a little hole in it and hang it round my neck. I waited eagerly for my next letter. When Dana won Eurovision 1970, beating Mary Hopkin into second place, I was outraged. Bernie jumped about the room, shrieking and clapping, and even though I called her une baguette stupide, it didn't dampen her glee. Mum was happy too, a triumphant smile stretching across her face. Bernie spent the rest of the evening with her savings book, and I avoided her, writing instead the words to Mary Hopkin's great entry in turquoise ink to post to Sean, and wondering how I was going to survive for a whole month with not a penny to my name. It was a week after the Dana disaster, and I was doing my homework when the phone rang. I was pleased to answer it, anything to get out of Bernie's way. She was after me for her winnings. Can I speak with your mammy? It's your Auntie Mary here. My mum took the phone and shooed me away as she closed the hall door. I groaned. That meant they'd be yakking for an hour, and I wanted to call my friend. But then she reappeared 5 minutes later, white-faced. Dad turned from his paper. You all right, love? I want to find out at the end. You're going to have to buy the book.